Sunday school reset last year.
Oh,
So we've been
you
having
have
some
kids?
Yeah. We have kids.
Oh,
We have
okay.
some of their parents show up once in a while. So we are growing. Some teachers from McKenna School are coming to church as well. So we are growing into the community, but very gradually. Yeah. And it makes sense, when a certain mama in the area akikuja church, they expect to see a grizzled old wise man.
Let me tell you.
Nakuja wanakutana na mimi. So
Wanashindwa, huyu ni pastor kweli?
yeah. Mama yake ako.
Yeah, first of all, mama yako ako wapi?
Yeah. So
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Pulpit podcast. My name is Tracy and this is episode 26. We are almost getting to episode 30. And it's exciting. So thank you to everyone who has been supporting us since we began this. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for subscribers. Thank you for following us. If you haven't, please do so. Our socials are right here, and subscribe so that we can grow. Abi, please, we want to grow as we share amazing stories of people who are in the church. So since our last episode, since episode 25, I hope you guys have been doing well. I hope you have been safe. Have I said thank you? Yes, thank you for subscribing. Remember that under BTP Studios, we have a couple of shows that run. We have The Faithful Critics that run on Tuesdays. We have Beyond the Pulpit, this one that runs every Thursday at 5 p.m. We have Friday ni Red Pill Conversations, and then on Sunday we have Our Soul's Delight, that is music, acoustic, a bunch of people just singing to praise the Lord. So that's all we have. Make sure you follow up on any show that is your cup of tea. You don't have to watch this. So I hope you're doing that. Thank you. Even to the team that is also part of this amazing company of BTP Studios. Thank you to everyone who makes this thing a success. So let's get right into it. My guest today is Cyril Musita. We are here to get to know more about him. So Cyril, karibu sana to Beyond the Pulpit.
Asante.
Do you work beyond the pulpit? Because we are here to talk about people beyond the pulpit. Yeah. Karibu sana. This is where everything happens. I hope you're not nervous.
I'm not.
You're not?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. That's perfect. You're easy. We are calm people. Nikiuliza swali unaweza niambia haha. That is too personal. You can stop me and I will not intrude.
It's okay.
Okay. So let's get into it, and you introduce yourself to our audience. Your name, what you do, and then we will get right into where you grew up. And then now we start talking about your salvation story. And then every other thing that comes after that.
Sawa.
Okay.
Right. My name is Cyril Musita Okalo. I fellowship at Fountainwood Fellowship. It's in Juja. It's a collegiate church. What that means is a majority of the membership are university students, planted out of Ruaraka Baptist. I serve there as the pastor. I also serve with a ministry called Real Talk. And our desire at Real Talk is, to reach the world with the gospel. And a big need that we saw when we were thinking about Real Talk was the fact that it's only in the global south where the church is growing. In the global north, the church is dying. And so our desire is to mobilize, especially younger believers, train them with the gospel, and send them out to preach the gospel. Yeah.
So that's what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. If you do not mind, and I hope you don't, let's talk about Cyril, where you grew up.
Yeah.
Your family setup, your schooling.
Yeah.
Kidogo. Yeah.
For sure. I grew up in Kakamega. So Ingoho and Ugali.
Staple food.
Staple. Yeah, I grew up in Kakamega. in an area called Amalemba. So both my parents are alive and well, and I thank God for them. They both teachers. I had 4 siblings growing up, but then I got a 5th sibling soon into, while nearing my late teenage. But I don't know how much to describe them. I have an elder sister, an elder brother. I'm the middle child, trying to be forgotten. Then I have two younger siblings, a sister and a brother as well. Went to school there. Started at primary. I changed schools a ton.
Really? How many times? Hapa tunaweza compete. Acha mimi.
5? 4 times?
Really? I think I went to 7 schools or 8.
Wow.
So
I hope haziko expulsion.
No. Weirdly, it's because my mom is also a teacher.
Okay.
So she moved
While
around
she was
school.
moving.
Hey, lazima.
Funny enough, I've never gone to a school where my parents were teaching.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing.
Yeah.
No, it is not the best.
You would advise.
I would not. Never.
Yeah. But then I benefited from most schools where I went to, my parents were known, so I was well cared for.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So went to a nursery called Lina. Then went to Lions Primary, then to St. Joseph's Primary. For a short period went to a school called Satellite, and then I finished at a school called Amalemba Primary. Yeah. So those are 4 schools for primary. Then high school, I went to Butere Boys, well into the village, but I loved it there. It was an awesome time. See, I'm one of those people who actually enjoyed high school.
Really? That's
I wouldn't go back though. You wouldn't convince me.
But for the 4 years, that was enough.
It was nice. Yeah, it was enough. Then college, I went to Kenya Methodist University. I studied communication and journalism. Yeah, at the
Look
time.
at him practicing. He's not a host, but at least he's on a platform.
Yeah, at least there's a microphone in front of him.
Yeah.
At the time, I desired to specialize in investigative journalism. But then God had different plans.
Yeah.
And I thank him for that. After that, I've done many other programs. I had a brief spurt where I was kind of like trying to do everything. So I usually tell people on my desk, I have a drawer imejaa tu
certificates. Umeokota kila mahali.
Okota. So, but they've all come in handy to assist me where I am and with what I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So at Kenya Methodist, Kenya Methodist sounds like a church-based school.
Yeah, it's a church-based school, but ni kama Puea na Catholic University.
Yeah.
It's owned by the church, but at Methodist, theology was compulsory.
It was a unit.
You had to study theology, but I was studying journalism. Yeah.
But there's a unit in theology.
Yeah, I think everybody studies
theology. Is it like
theology.
compulsory, communication skills for some unis?
Yeah.
Or health and wellness.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so everybody, that's, the rule of the school. So, but you just studied journalism. Yeah.
Plainly. So at this point, when you're getting into uni or the college, there was no purpose. Okay, there was no goal of being a pastor or getting into ministry. Was it there? Was it not?
I'm still getting comfortable with being a pastor right now. I
was
just sharing with a team yesterday. I was with some JQuad students yesterday at a sleepover. I was just telling them how sometimes naamka na. Am I allowed to switch languages?
Yes, any.
Naamka na some imposter syndrome when it just hits me that there is somebody, when I'm looking at the church and there are people who founded to them is the first church. Like they've never been believers before and they've never gone to church and it's their first time going to church. So I just nashtuka katikati ya usiku that, man, there is somebody out here to whom the definition of a pastor is me.
You.
Like that's the idea they have of
The
it.
first interaction they have with the pastor is me. They're like,
So-
are you serious? Is it real? This cannot be my real life.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real. I don't even like being called pastor. I was
Really?
like, no.
Why? Passy.
No, don't do
Passy
that.
Cyril. Passy
I like it when
Musita.
people call me Cyril. And my name is Musita, so people take advantage and change the numbers depending on how they feel.
Yeah.
So, nimeitwa M70, 5.5.
What?
So M6, it's okay. I prefer those over Passy. But anyway, so I never thought
Were you born
I'd
again?
ever. Yeah.
At when you're in college?
Well, I was,
Mm-hmm.
and I think by the time I was going to college, I had already wrestled with my faith. But before that, I was serving in church without genuinely being born again. I was, growing up with believing parents, going to church
Sunday
and
school and all
interactions,
that.
Sunday school. You think you're a believer,
True. True.
So I was one of those guys, and I was at a camp in Diguna, where actually I met one of the Car West pastors, Pastor Stano. I don't know if he's still here or he left, but
He left.
yeah. So I while there, one of the counselors tulikuwa tunaita Kanjo. So Kanjo moja alisimama akashare testimony yake akisema, hey man, I've been going to church, I've been serving. Siku moja nikarealize I can't remember kama nimewahi okoka. And then I took a pause. I was like,
hiyo siku okoka.
hata pia mimi sikumbuki kama nimewahi okoka. So that's when I surrendered my life and yeah, so I was a believer the whole time. Even through college, I was already serving at church at Ruaraka. Yeah, so
Okay, so you got born again much later in life, like
well, not much later,
Okay.
but
high school or after high school?
just after high school.
Just after high
Yeah.
school. Oh, this camp you're talking about is nearly a Form 4.
Yeah,
The program after Form 4 deal.
Yeah, Form 4. So see
that
at
time was not
Ruaraka, yeah,
deal.
Diguna. There's an organization called Diguna.
The ropes. Diguna ropes.
Yeah, now they have ropes, but now
Ah.
they have their ministry they do, and I'd been a part of some of the stuff they were doing before, which is so crazy. But but unajua, sometimes you might be blind thinking you can see. So it was later, after years of service. Now, my story is a lot better. I have friends who they were even leaders in the church, and
they're not born again.
and they're not born again, and so they now hit badaya, and it's crazy.
Unajua, as a Christian or even growing up, hata me, I used to think that being in church, just being in church, I attend Sunday school.
Yeah.
I've attended CBN, I've attended youth. I'm just a good girl.
Yeah.
I'm going to church.
Mm.
I am not part of some very mischievous groups. That's being saved.
Yeah.
Until you realize that you actually know nothing.
For sure.
That actually you've not surrendered your life.
I don't know.
You're just living life,
Yeah.
oblivious of the other wicked side, but you're not saved.
You're not
'cause
saved,
you've
true.
Yeah.
I think that really speaks to how discipleship is very important, because the truth is it's never by works, and our works could not save us. Now,
Wow.
the challenge is we think we are believers because of our works. We see the things we are doing and we are thinking, man, I'm a good person.
Yeah. A good Christian.
And then, and Jesus himself says, who is good?
No one.
Right?
Oh, no, not one.
Not even one.
Not even one.
Yeah.
Hapo ndo tunachapangwa viboko kwa Biblia.
Kwanza,
Naambiagwa wewe hujui let me teach you what
Yeah.
means to be a believer.
For
Okay,
sure.
interesting. So you studied journalism. This is something you've always wanted to do.
Not really. Now that's the funny thing. Sometimes kuna ile philosophy ya Bruce Lee, Shape of Water. Sometimes I just go with the flow. While I was in high school, what I desired to do was astrophysics. I enjoyed looking at stars and planets and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, math ilinikataa.
Really?
Math ilinikataa.
Uliona giza?
Niliona giza. Sikuona
Ulipata
nyota.
kwenda kwa-
Yeah, so that's what I desired to do, but I couldn't. Well, it's not even offered in Kenya, and I didn't perform well enough to
Oh, it's not at
But
all?
I've never heard of astrophysics in Kenya. I don't know if there is a school that does offer.
I think UN does.
Oh wow,
Because I
that's
think
cool.
there's someone I know who is doing.
It's different from
astrophysics.
astronomy.
Yes, I think it's
Yeah.
astrophysics. Yeah, I think there's someone studying astrophysics right now in
That's
UN.
cool. I need to meet
But
him.
it's new.
Or her.
It's new.
Oh, they're just being.
Yeah, it's
They're
very,
just introducing.
like maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I couldn't do that. So I finished high school and I had a season. Well, I went into the mission field immediately after surrendering my life, and I served for a while. And then I got back. I got a job almost immediately.
Mhm.
But then while doing that, now I was thinking, what are the next steps? What do I want to do? Man, nikajiambia, you know what? I enjoy planning things. I enjoy organizing stuff. Let me. Nimeona kuna project planning and management. I think I will be good at that.
That's how you chose outer course.
So
I
was
like
like,
doing.
Yeah, I like doing that. I enjoy that. I will be good at that. And then nika realize I couldn't get a place in an offer, and then I saw kuna events planning and management. I was like, I'm going to do events planning and management. And then my dad, I love my dad so much. Sometimes honesty yake is too brutal. Ananiambia, nani atakuandika kazi? Who will employ you?
No.
That was his question. Who will employ you?
With events.
With events. Now, looking back, I needed to have shouted at him, man, kuna watu kwa nalipwa millions per event.
Events is very lucrative.
It's
but
very
now,
lucrative. But then you see, again, parents being teachers, you know, kuna the impression of what a job is.
Yeah,
You know, you need
yeah.
an office, you need an
Ukaambiwa
employer
ufanye
and all those
nursing, kuna
things.
kazi ama teaching.
Yeah.
Shule ni nyingi.
I'm thinking that's where they were thinking. Now, funny enough, is if I had been offered to study education, I wouldn't have said no. Actually, my nickname has always been Mwalimu. If you check out my Truecaller,
it's Mwalimu.
I enjoy teaching. I think that's I wouldn't have said no. But then it never came up as an offer. Now my sister, and I love my elder sister, she knows how to be the boss. So she's like,
firstborn?
Yeah, firstborn.
Okay, of course.
Tunamwitanga head girl. Say, twende nikupeleke mahali. So I don't know where we are going, and you know you can't say no, so you just follow her. She takes me to Kemu. She brings me a brochure with 2 courses. I can't remember what the other one was, something to do with fisheries or something, and the other one was journalism. I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this one.
Yeah, the other one doesn't make sense.
So I did choose the school, I did choose the course, but I ended up really loving it, and I think journalism was a good fit for my skill set. Well, not entirely. I am horrible at spelling, and my English teacher, my teacher of English,
written English.
Yeah, written English is not my friend.
Yeah.
And my teacher of English used to say, the man with the worst handwriting in sub-Saharan Africa.
You?
Yes.
Yours? No way.
Writing, you should see me write. So I struggled with that aspect, but all the other aspects, I was really good, and I actually did enjoy. I did enjoy being doing journalism, and while doing projects and stuff like that, I actually liked it a lot. Yeah.
I think people don't view journalism as a serious course. I've not done journalism, I've done communications and media.
Yeah.
And they don't view it as a serious course, but they don't know the amount of reading that gets
tough.
It's not easy. When you get to these units, the law.
Yeah.
I don't know if you went through. There's a law course, media law and this.
Yeah,
I hated that unit.
I loved it.
I hated it with every waking day when I was going to class. I was just like, he unit.
Yeah,
I can't wait to finish.
Something people don't realize about journalism is you essentially have to be a mini expert of all the fields.
True.
You kind of have to study everything.
Photography.
Yeah.
Videography. Cinematography.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. So.
Niendelee. Unajua nimeambiwa nikuangalie. Okay, sorry. No. Kwa hivyo nikuangalie hivi. Mnataka food? Oh, mimi sitaki food, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Naya. Tulikuwa wapi?
Journalism. Yeah.
Aya. Tunifanyie kiu. Ndio tuendelee. Yeah, so there's a lot. I remember, kwanza photograph mi kuna units I didn't appreciate at all, like anything that has demands for me to be behind the camera. I do not know how to be behind the camera.
So funny enough, for some women, the opposite.
You excelled.
I enjoyed being behind the camera, despite like writing the
news
reports and the news and doing the investigation. Let somebody else be in front of the camera.
Let someone else talk. Really?
Yeah, I was actually that way. Funny enough, now when people tell me I have a broadcast voice,
you do. You really do.
Assume, yeah. But I actually enjoy, and I think until
the
this
behind
day,
the scenes,
behind the scenes, and now again I am tall and wide, so
what
you take space in people's minds, right? And so people you get to be seen, but I actually really enjoyed being behind the camera.
So the videography, okay,
I really enjoyed video. Well, to be honest, I don't think there is an aspect that I did not enjoy. Well, I struggled with the writing, like because of the spellings and stuff like that. Yeah. But I enjoyed doing it. I know it makes sense. Yeah. Struggle with it, but
you still love it.
You love it.
You struggled with it and ukamaliza.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So when did you finish?
Technically, I never did finish. I went all the way till my final months of my 4th year, and things changed.
What changed?
My attitude.
Stop!
I like it when people say, oh, I could go school fees or stuff like that. Man. Now, this is what happened,
4 years?
Yeah. So what happened is, during that time, I was doing kind of internships and stuff like that. I was interacting with media people and getting to those places. And then I'm realizing, I hope I don't discourage people who are studying, but
me too.
I started realizing, man, I'm going into these offices and majority of the people employed, they don't even have these qualifications. But then,
true.
Yeah. But then I also realized, and just observing that, man, the industry as it's structured is actually dying, right? So, just doing basic statistics of how many thousands are graduating every year and how many new people are being employed.
And won't end up.
Yeah.
Probably won't end up in those offices.
Yes. And then I went back to this season, man, I'm not even the one who chose this course. Right? So, I'm like, if I would have chosen my own course, I would have done something that I enjoyed. I enjoyed journalism. That's the irony. But I would have done something that to me, because I tend to imagine myself a strategist. I hope I am one. I don't know. But I say I would want to be strategic with what I do so that I have a multiplicity of options, a plurality of options, one that allows me to have independence as well. That's why I want to do something like planning and stuff like that. Man. And then I think around that time, an uncle of mine died who had really been the support, emotional more than
your parents.
Yeah. And so all these things put together, and I think a bit of being emotional and angry, I just stopped going. I was like, I just stopped going.
4th year?
Yeah. Now the worst part, ukijua vile wazazi wanajua kukasirika, I was actually top of the class.
Mimi ngoja kusikia reaction ya wazazi ilikuwa gani?
Funny enough, they were really supportive. My sister was more angry. And
Deputy parent
alikuwa,
of course.
she was more frustrated and angry about it. I think parents were really supportive. They insisted on, consider going back, consider doing it. Well, technically they still do to this day.
But it's been years.
They're not that much pressures, like, I hope you know what you're doing. Of course, kuna hiyo season ya frustration of, man, we've been paying for this, we've been doing this, but never felt rejection or anything like that in regards to it. Tried going back one time and then struggled. Well, I think my hiyo season ya could decide not to, and I feel like my sister, in her attempts to help, sort of made things worse unintentionally, because I would walk into the school, I go into the department, I'm like, let me just go do these 3-4 exams I was left with, and it's like all the people in the department know you, and turns out your sister was there last week complaining and stuff like that. So that's what made it struggle.
She was really deputying.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was a really good
enyewe.
deputy.
Yeah, ni deputy
Yeah,
ukweli.
yeah.
Wow.
But she's awesome. I love her so much.
Mm.
She's a great sister, and she was helping in her
Yeah.
mind. She was indeed helping.
She was helping you make good decisions.
Yes. Now, and of course, them not knowing, do you have a plan? Are you thinking of something behind this?
Yeah.
Is there a thought behind this process? Is there something about it? Yeah. So technically I finished because I'd done all the things I needed to do,
Yeah.
but there's just a few exams and the graduation, and I've been getting back to it for all this while.
For a minute now.
Yeah.
But utagraduate too.
Yeah, but I've done other programs and finished later, so it seemed less necessary, and I'm not even working in the field anyway.
Yeah, so you don't find the need to go back, really? It's
I
not
think
urgent?
there is a need. I think it's not an urgent need, but there is a need. There is a need to go back.
Will
and
you?
I think eventually, I don't know. Like I'm on, again. I said shape of water.
Yeah,
I
you'll
just
go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Ikikupeleka huko,
yeah.
kurudi, it's okay.
Yeah. And again, I said how the industry is looking like right now is the qualification, like the academic qualification, is less important than the ability, the skill. And so now today with social media and with YouTube and with podcasts like what we are doing right now, you know,
I remember someone was talking to me because I had a season where I was doing a different course. I was doing economics in KU before transitioning into communications and media. And I remember my friends or even older people around me were telling me, unajua siku hizi kukua kwa media, kwa TV ama kwa radio, you don't need papers. You just need to have the talent. So kama uko na talent, utafika. Kwa so I'm like, sasa nisome economics miaka 4 alafu nikose kuipractice. I find that like it's a waste of time and school fees.
But honestly. You see, school does a lot more than just the papers. You know, you get to interact with people. The regimented structure helps, and then nakupatia time ya kumachua as well.
True.
So I can't really count it as a waste. Of course, people expect a particular kind of result.
Yeah.
And it's important. It has its worth. But then it's not a matter of life and death as well. It shouldn't be. I see stories where people, part of being in college ministries, you get to really support people who are going through seasons of life. And you can see how people are so wound up and they're suffering a lot. They're struggling through school, where sometimes maybe somebody just needs a break and you can just defer a semester.
Yeah.
They say like, no, I'm supposed to graduate in 4 years. See, here's the thing. It changes nothing. What is the point of you graduating while you are depressed, right? Without the energy to go on. And then some other people, it's not really that they're struggling with school. It's just that they're struggling with a lack of support.
Yeah.
Like I feel for myself, at the time I was working with someone and I was sharing and I was venting when I was going through these things. I wouldn't have maybe gone there because again, it was a very, you've run the race, it's a few meters left. So like somebody would have told me, man,
it's just a couple of exams.
Yeah. Just do it. It shouldn't be. So that's kind of the duality. That's kind of the duality of it all. But yeah, it shouldn't be a matter. And again, another struggle we have is because of societal expectation, we pressure ourselves a little bit more than necessary. And so I've had conversations with people who walikuwa na a lot of pressure to graduate. And then anagraduate maybe at a first class nini. And then sasa anaanza kukasirikia wazazi, mlikuwa mnaniharakisha ni graduate na munisaidii kupata job.
True.
That's the point. Right? So
nilimaliza shule haraka ndo nikuje jobless.
Na hii ni true story. A friend of mine didn't want to do the course. Alikuwa anafanyishwa.
And that is the story. I think it's about time they come to an end.
Yeah.
Parents forcing kids to do some courses.
Now see, the parents are not being bad. So that the thing is, according to their minds, it's coming from a point of love.
It's never from malice.
Never.
And that's why you cannot even hate them for it.
For sure. Yeah. See, for them, they're thinking, what have I seen work?
The most marketable course.
Let me help my child to the best of my ability to patia the best starting point, the best launching pad. But then you see, times change and seasons change and things are different. So, like this friend, he graduates, he's performed really well. I think he got a first class honors, atakakuwa offered work study for his masters. kachukua hiyo certificate akaenda akapatia mzazi. Hii ni yako, mimi naenda kufanya
Nimeenda
vitu
kufanya
zangu.
kitu ingine.
Yeah.
What was he studying?
It was something, I think actuarial science or something like that. Hizo vitu ngumu.
And then now, and what was his passion?
Photography. So alikuwa amesave up for a camera, peana certificate ya actuarial science, now anapiga
Unajua mzazi anaketi chini anasema, sasa kazi yako tu ni kupiga tu picha.
Yeah.
Kupiga tu atu picha, hiyo ndio unataka ikulipie bill.
How?
Aje?
Yeah.
So unafaa kuvaa suti, unaendesha gari mzuri kwa
ofisi. Yeah. So I think that's something, worth thinking about, that man, because times have changed, our approaches really need to change, and with the modern economy. But then here's the thing. Life is not a straight line.
It is
having the plurality of options is not a bad thing. So just do it. Patia mzazi kwa utahitaji utaenda kuchukua.
Uchukue tena uende apply kazi.
And I know many people, especially people who are in ministry. Another friend was just telling me, nakwambia I worked so hard for a master's in microbiology or something. Never used it a single day in my life. I've just framed it in a decorate nyumba.
No kanisa.
Never used. Yeah,
Ni pastor.
It's not a pastor, but it's actually a she. She serves. She's in ministry. Yeah. She's an author. She does things. So like it's a plurality of options is not a bad thing. So, and again, who knows? Maybe in the future utataka kukua MP.
True.
Have the option there.
Have as many papers as you can. Hata kama utazitumia.
So like for me, what I ended up doing was like, sasa niko kwa hii season ya men. Let me now do what I want. Kwa desk yangu niko na certificates of psychology.
Oh, you did like certificates from online certificates?
Places. Yeah, some online, some in person, videography, video editing, the theology, we did a lot of things.
Zimejaa tu. You're just piling them up. You're an educated man.
Piling them up. I'm not educated. Maybe schooled, but not educated.
Schooled.
I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you at some point gain the skills, gain the knowledge. You don't know. There's no such thing as useless.
Yeah. Knowledge. It's never useless.
Never useless.
Okay, interesting. So after you quit, what happened next?
I pretty much immediately went into ministry. I was serving at Waraka at the time, the children ministry, the media ministry, and did that for a while. I was quote unquote msaidizi wa children's pastor, unofficial, but helping organize things, manage things for a while. Did a few missions. Then was part of establishing the media department at the church, and got employed by the church. Did that for a long time. Well, not for a long time. Did the media work for a long time. But then that is where the call came to ministry to do full time. Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So have you studied theology? Apart from the certificates that you've collected along the way?
Yes, I have studied, and yes, I'm still studying.
Oh.
I enrolled into a program from Southeastern Baptist Theological. Wow. Matamchi. Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. And so I'm doing continuing education. It will be it's a bit of a long program that I decided to do, which I don't mind. But I also have those other skills and getting others regularly.
Okay, kwa Rwaraka at the children's ministry, that's why you developed an interest in pursuing ministry full time?
I think after I left Diguna, I think I was pretty much sure
that this is what I want to
do. Even with the pursuing journalism and investigative, I think at the back of my head I was going to serve. I didn't think I was going to be a pastor. I don't think that was ever part of my thought. I think even when I was resigning my job to go to ministry, I was thinking I'm going to be a pastor. Right? That sort of just came with the space.
It came along.
Yeah. But I desired to serve. I've always enjoyed. I remember even when I was in Kemu, I would, natoka chuo naenda church kwanza. Before going home. Nitoka asubuhi depending on what time
your
the lecture is, napitia church. I think I was involved in pretty much every single program organized there, the kids, the teens. I was tunaenda na pastor mahali, maybe he's going for a funeral somewhere, tag along,
You were
organize events.
involved.
Yeah. So I was involved, and I was enjoying it a lot. Those things that, you don't need somebody to sign a paycheck for you to do. It was just, man, it was a joy. And so I think I knew that was an area I was eventually going to be there. I didn't know when, and I didn't know it was going to be full time.
No.
So I think it was at the back of my head. Yeah.
And okay, so Ruaraka, you've served. How long were you at Ruaraka?
From 2016 to 2021.
Fountainwood is a plant of Ruaraka,
Now, the best way to define it is it was planted out of Ruaraka. Yeah, but of course, dealing with a lot of those conversations still. So maybe I may not go into a lot of details, but yeah, planted out of Ruaraka.
Okay, so talk to us about Fountainwood.
Man, Fountainwood started by accident.
In 2021.
21 December. I think by around August of 2021, I was feeling burdened to go into ministry, and I knew I was going to Juja.
Oh, why Juja?
So
Juja is not famous for churches.
It's not famous for
churches. It is not.
A big part of it is nickname yake at the time was Sin City.
Yeah, it still is, Ama. It may
I
change.
think it's a little better now. Tunaita Project Gracetown, where we are trying to pull hands together with people in Juja. Sema tujabadilishe jina si Sin City anymore.
It's not Sin City anymore.
Project Gracetown. Yeah. But I think 2020 I got to get more particular training in ministry. Started interacting with missionaries from the IMB and did a lot of trainings with them, hermeneutics, homiletics, along with other things I was doing. And I think in the process, I started, realizing that this burden as I have been feeling for a while is this what I'm learning right now, right? How I knew it was Juja was I started finding myself spending all my evenings in Juja.
Out of nowhere, Ama, you have friends living there?
I had friends, maybe a lot of members were church when you're and I've been working with them, supporting them. So I'm like, we are Menita this week, we are Menita the other week. One time to visit Ule Aku in such a bad. So I was feeling like, maybe I need to go there and maybe establish some kind of support network, some support fellowship. And then it became burdensome because I'm staying in Gumba at the time.
Yeah, the commute.
Yeah, and I have to you have to respect your employer. Like, I clock out at 5. So imagine unatoka job 5, go to Juja.
Utoke Magizani
ukirudi
Gumba,
and then kesho uko job. So
again.
I think I just started feeling this burden in my heart of, man, it's time to go. Now I didn't know what that means. I didn't like go. I know it is Juja to do what,
yeah.
Like with whose authority under what circumstance. Now I shared with my friends. My missionary friends are like, no. So we would no.
Just stay.
Because
there was no plan.
Yeah, there wasn't a plan.
Okay, you knew what you wanted to do, but there's no concrete plan.
There's no plan, right? Those questions of how are you going to survive?
Yeah.
Is the church going to stand behind? What is going on? Now, the good thing is I was really close with the senior pastor. I still am, right, Pastor Mburu, and I felt free to go and just share with him that I'm feeling burdened in my heart to go and do this. And so he was like, take time, take 2 months. I think he asked me to take 2 months to pray. And he was like, just ensure you're not sharing with anyone that how we influence. Because again, to be fair, when people start seeing you walking around with missionaries and then suddenly you're like, I'm feeling to go.
I want to go.
Is somebody telling you to go? Is somebody forcing you?
Are you being pushed out?
Yeah, is somebody pushing you? But no, that wasn't the case. And he was really supportive and he was like, just take time and pray. And then during my season of praying, I started asking questions of man, how am I going to live? I love it here. I keep saying this. I had a big office. I loved my big office.
You loved it. It's the center. It's the corner office somewhere.
It wasn't the corner office, but it did not matter that it wasn't. I loved it.
Big.
It was perspective is kuna wakati niligombanishwa time ya COVID that why did you have 100 people in your office? Now, I did not have 100 people.
Okay.
But watu walikuwa wengi hapo ndani.
100?
One time, no, I didn't get
lakini watu wanapenda ku-exaggerate.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Anyway, so like I loved the place. I loved serving at Roraka. I loved the people. I was enjoying the ministry. And then there's a school there, Providence Academy.
Yeah.
And I'd been working with the kids. Some I'd met them when they were in like grade 4, when class 4 at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing them through seasons of life, wako campus, and stuff like that. You know, like kumekuwa na hizo seasons you've been with people. For like, why should I go? I have no reason. And around the same time, 2 pastors had left, and I think the head teacher was also leaving, and so like a lot of people are leaving.
It's a tricky moment.
Are you leaving because of that, right? But then no, it wasn't. It was none of that, and it wasn't like I wasn't enjoying. It's not like my bosses were not kind to me. They were. They were really kind and really supportive. I loved them, and clearly they loved me as well. They were really. Everybody, my workmates, I enjoyed. I loved being there. So I had a lot of reasons not to go. Right. So during these 2 months of prayer, Pastor Mburu is preaching, and the title he gives that sermon is How to One Another Each Other. Such a strange word.
What? How to one another
each other.
Okay.
And now the essence, the gist of the sermon was, you know, when you desire to serve, it is not a question of what do I need, it's a question of what does the other person need. And so I was like, wow, okay, so I need to put the needs of these people
That's my sign.
above my I'm like, wow, okay.
Okay. That was loud.
That was loud. I'm feeling attacked now. And then the following week, there's a deacon there, his name is Gabriel, and he says there are these four P's of service. You must be willing to abandon pride. Wow. Remember a few minutes ago when I said big office?
Give that up.
You're like, yeah, okay, I need to be willing to give that up. I need to be willing to give up people. Wow. I love the people here. The community there. You have to be willing to give up place. And then provision is in the mission. So like, all the questions I had,
let me tell you,
answered.
This one was the person who was preaching this was just yelling at you.
Yeah,
was just yelling.
Genuinely, that's what it felt like.
And then unajua tu when you're in that situation where the spotlight is on you, but no one is seeing it, so it's like
yeah. It genuinely felt like that. I remember immediately after that sermon, I was talking to the deacon, and I was like, "Man, Gabu, call him Gabu. I think you've just answered my question. I think I'm resigning." And he's like, no, you need to go count your costs. Like that. I think it was the first person I told. But
you just told me I should give up my people, Providence.
And I really thank Gabu, because he really walked with me from that day. Like, he knew what I was thinking, and he was praying about it and supporting. But anyway, I just said, like, I think I say, this is so weird. I'm telling one of the leaders of the church that I want to go into ministry. It's like, aren't you in ministry here? Isn't this ministry? Here? Isn't this ministry? Now, at the time, if I knew what I was going to do, I would have approached it differently, right? I just knew I needed to go to Juja. I didn't know what I was going to do in Juja. Right? I knew it was maybe create networks of support. Maybe just go walk around sharing the gospel. I don't know, whatever it is. I didn't know what it was. The thought of a church never hit my mind. Because I was part of the missions team. I was part of the missions leadership. I would have gone to the elder in charge of missions and the team and share with them this thought of a church plant over here. Can we start working towards it? How can we work towards it? I didn't do that. I didn't even know where I was going, if I needed the church to go with me. That never crossed my mind at all. That was never a thought. So that was around August. I remember we had a nice staff meeting that morning. We enjoyed. We had banter. And then I go to my office and submit a resignation letter. Man, get all these calls of people like, wait, what is going on? You need a salary review.
Tulikuwa tunacheka asubuhi.
Hey, somebody annoyed you? Is there a problem? I'm like, no, there's no problem. I think I've just made this decision. Now, I blindsided most people. I think it was only the senior pastor and this deacon that I'd been speaking with. The rest of the staff didn't know, but I'd given them a hint that I was thinking of eventually stepping down, but I don't think they were expecting it. They were really blindsided. Yeah. I wasn't speaking. And again, you don't speak about it because you don't know.
You just never know who's listening.
Right. Yeah. So that August, now I go back to this, my missionary friends are like, man, we don't have any mechanism to support you. If we are not the ones sending you. Now they see the problem is, again, when people see you have friends who are missionaries, they assume,
think that
right?
they're funding.
And I think people are so angry with them that they had asked me to leave, and that wasn't the case. It was such a very comical situation of like, these guys are poaching. People are like, no, they were the biggest voice telling me not to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a crazy part. I've just realized I should have mentioned something before. I'm actually writing a memoir. Maybe I'm doing spoiler. Maybe I should have not.
Okay.
But anyway, I go to Juja and start sharing the gospel, start evangelizing. I remember we managed to talk to about 1,000 people in 2 weekends. That's crazy. That's what my friends were like, let's do a survey of where do the people go, where do they eat? Because I'd been trained on how to enter an area, how to learn the culture, how to do that. We call it pre-entry, how to do pre-entry and entry. So like, managed to speak to about 1,000 people over a period of 2 weekends. And now one thing that was getting clear was the Getsi area needed a Bible-believing church, because there were good churches, but they were kind of distant. And there wasn't really any church, any ministry really focused on the student population. Other than the JQuat CU, and the JQuat CU, man, it's gigantic. Really big. And they talking thousands. There's a lot of people, and it's easy for people to blend in, but still, even with the thousands they have, it's not the 30,000 student population that is there. So started a Bible study within JQuat, and we were meeting within JQuat. I don't know. If ever ingine very interesting. Just walked through the gate. Like, genuinely. And at the time I didn't even know. The one student I knew who was finishing. So it wasn't like he could assist me. And I just walked through the gate and then there's an area called Cherry Park, share the gospel, invite people to a bench, and we just sit and read the Bible together. And so the group started growing.
How you started?
That's how we started, yeah.
No permission from the administration?
No.
Nothing
at all. It was even a lot later that we even go to interact with CU and the patron and the school administration. But it just walked through the gate. Yeah. I think I feel the story of the 4 lepers where they were charging and the enemy thought it was a mighty army. Like, there's just a way the Lord just hides you sometimes.
Wow.
Like, just walk through the gate. Rarely ever ask questions. One time I was asked a question, I was like, and you just be honest. I'm going to Cherry Park for Bible study. Say, okay. No questions. They didn't even ask me for an ID.
Stop.
Yeah, that's how we started.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank God. We were doing Wednesdays and Fridays.
How many people came on the first meeting?
So the first meeting I went with a lot of people, a lot of my friends. And so it was, well, not a lot. It was like 5 of us. It was a while before I call them Jujites, real Jujites, like actually join the momentum. But a lot of my friends, we just going with them, sharing the gospel, and then sitting with them and reading the Bible there. Yeah, so that's how the church started. And over time, a couple of months, actually really quick, because the Bible study really genuinely started not that December, but January of 2022. And maybe a month into it, people started asking for church.
Oh.
Now in our training, I said, like, you never tell people I'm here to plant a church. You wait until they are like, yeah, we need a church. So like, wow, these guys are saying they need a church. So I go back and tell Pastor Buru, man, those people are telling me they need a church.
Oh, back to Roraka?
To Roraka, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm a big believer of churches planting churches, not individuals planting churches. I go with Pastor Buru, man, these people are like, they need a church. I go to Deacon Gabriel, they're saying they want a church. I tell my missionary, these people are saying they want a church. So Roraka agrees to commission me. And I think on I hope I remember the dates, on the 25th of May, thereabouts 2022, I got commissioned. It was a crazy day. I remember standing at the pulpit, and I had been well the whole week. I had a very nice speech prepared. That morning, nilipata homa ingine mbovu sana. Can go to the Roraka YouTube channel. There's a video. People are like, I'm wearing a mask, I'm in a jacket, I'm shivering, and I have to speak.
Yeah.
And he just called me that morning, so there's no cancelling. It's like the morning off. Right, yeah. And so I
You
got commissioned. Yeah, and my sister was there. Normally when people are
The deputy
commissioned,
parent.
the deputy parent, she stood with me up on Bele. The
Mm,
elders laid their hands on me.
mm,
And yeah, I got commissioned, officially got sent to Juja
mhm.
to proclaim the gospel. And 5th of June is when we had our first official church meeting.
On a Sunday?
Yeah, on a Sunday. It was
Mhm.
crazy. I need to share this.
Okay.
One challenge we had was location.
I can imagine.
Where would
I
we put
can
the church?
imagine,
And we
yeah.
knew we needed the church to be around Getsi area. There's an area of Jacob called Getsi.
Yeah.
So we are walking around, and of course we don't have resources because the church, of course, takes a while to make decisions sometimes and stuff like that. Then I had seen online there's a school called McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen it. I've been walking around. I've never seen it.
Mm.
Then one random time, I think this time we weren't even evangelizing. We were just prayer walking. And then I see 2 streets away. I see a building that looks like a school.
Mm-hmm.
So like, can we walk towards that school? I go read the gate. McKenna School.
Oh.
I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Like, this is my location.
So like, I think I'm going in there to ask them if we can put the church here. That's what I told the guys. So like, yeah, let's just pray. Like, and it's a private school, so you don't expect a yes.
Yeah. How? They start charging you.
They start charging and all that. So I walk into the gate. There wasn't a guard, so I just guessed what the office was. I just went there.
Straight into the administration.
Yeah, found randomly the head teacher was just seated there. I was like, hey,
random.
My name is Cyril. So random. I didn't even have and I remember him fondly. His name is Vincent. He's since left the school, but so Mr. Vincent right there. Before I finish, even telling my narrative, my name is Cyril. I've been sent out of Ruaraka, and you're desiring to plant a church, and we thought to come and. Before I finished that set, it was like, yes.
You don't even know my plan.
Yeah, like, yes. He said yes many times, and it was like 1,000, like charging us 1,000 a Sunday.
No.
To go to school. Yeah. That's how it was. Yeah. And guess what?
That is so awesome. Mm-hmm.
Many years later, guess how much we still pay?
1,000.
1,000.
And he left.
He left. And the next head teacher maintained the same. I go to meet the director, and she's an awesome lady. I love this stuff. They've really embraced us. We are a part of their community now. Really, thank God. But the church started meeting there.
Mm-hmm.
In a classroom. We had to change classrooms like twice. And
because of the numbers?
Initially, it was because of the neighbors and noise and stuff like that. But then the third time we changed because fourth time we changed because of we were growing in numbers and we were now squeezing in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Believe this, they literally gave a portion of their compound and said, build what you can build there.
No way.
Yeah, they did that. So our church is within their school.
No way.
Yeah. At no extra charge, you still pay 1,000.
No way.
Yeah. It's crazy.
No, this is actually shocking.
It's amazing when you think about it.
It's so amazing.
Yeah, that's how our church started, and that's how
from not having a plan to everything just working out.
Things worked out.
You didn't. Oh wow.
Yeah, things really worked out. I think that's a way to know if something is ordained by the Lord.
It really is.
Things just flow, and if I'm being honest, it's not really by any of our efforts because you just see things happening. You're like, yeah, I know how much effort I put into this. It is not what the result.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah.
It's just the working of the Lord. And of course, personally, I had a season of struggles because, of course, I've cancelled my only source of income. And after COVID, my two hustles, of course, had gone down and everything. But I had a season of struggle, and I was really hoping for things to flow in a particular way. They didn't go that way. But I thank God for the experience that I got and that season. Because then, when in a way, it feels like serving Kamakina Paul. I don't think when Paul was going to Corinth, he knew what he like, right? And all that. So it was good. That's how the church started.
So now you guys have your own structure, or it's still coming up?
It's still coming up. We've put up a roof. Now this year we are putting up walls.
Yeah.
Several people ask me, how do you have a roof without walls?
Yeah.
But yeah,
we put up. Yeah.
They're like, we are so squeezed in this room. I love again, it's a collegiate church. Same matter with from collections, yeah, offerings or anything. Muki collect 600, 700.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Let's go celebrate on the mountaintop, right? so of course, with those constraints being real, you know, going down and you're like, what we need is a place to meet. There's a lot of us, we can't fit in this classroom. So what are we able to do?
Let's just put up a roof.
Yeah.
Actually, it's more, it's fresher.
It's fresher, yeah. Some friends wakatupatia chandarua put round like a canvas material in case it rained or something like that. That's how we've been this whole time. The school allows us to use the electricity, their chairs and stuff
at
like
1,000,
that.
let me tell you.
At 1,000 bob a Sunday.
The school, it's just how everything is working out.
Yeah.
From being skeptical about it, you're like, okay, I know I want to go, but now sasa ninaanzia wapi? Ninaanzia wapi? Oh wow. Anyway, this was ordained. This was really ordained.
It was.
Okay, so how many numbers do you have right now? You've grown.
So we've been growing. I at some point we slowed down the growing, but I felt like we stopped growing wide. We started growing deep. So
which is of more importance.
Yeah, it's more important, honestly. Well, at our highest, in terms of attendance, at our highest, we've had Sundays when we had 50 and stuff like that. But now the average attendance is usually around 20, thereabouts. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's good, yeah.
When you're growing deeper.
We're growing really deep. And you know, some of these things you only realize when you're seated at the back and just observing.
Yeah.
Like this January, I went on a brief sabbatical and no one called me.
Everything was
just running smoothly until I was asking a friend, is there a need for me to go back?
Nitoke tu basi juni kama mnihitaji huko.
Because you are hearing what people are saying in groups. I think the other week you are seeing that it's been in the men's group. There was a week-long discussion about 2 verses in the Bible, and people are contributing and asking questions.
An entire week?
Yeah, an entire week. And 2 verses, and people are philosophizing. They're going back, this suggests humility. People are so invested.
Theologians and whatnot.
People are really invested in the discussion. All that. You see people loving each other. There is no such joy as going to a church. You're like, I know this person did not know this person before they were part of the church.
Yeah.
But then I hear they spent the week together.
Discussing the word.
How they've become personal friends. They go doing stuff together. They're and all that.
Working together in faith.
People are now working together. You can see how, again, not just deeper in the word, but also deeper together. The fellowship is warm and very genuine, and I love that a lot. I think, and I thank God. Sometimes we might focus so much on how the numbers are growing, but now from the onset, I was never a numbers guy. Despite being, I do look very outspoken and extroverted. The truth is, I'm very introverted.
That can't be true.
I wish you knew. Sometimes I have to go hide myself. Naingiza, nafunga mlango na ndani. Naeka padlock nje watu wafikirie siko. Very, very introverted. I don't do well with crowds. But
you don't?
Yeah.
But you're a pastor.
And yet.
Okay, and yet. Yeah. And yet you stand in front of a crowd and preach. And yet, okay.
And all these things. Ni neema enye I don't understand. I don't get it. But that's how the church started, and that's how it is today. It is.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So I'm curious, now that the church has been operating for 3 years?
Yeah.
This is the 4th? Year. Or 3?
This is the
2022?
Yeah.
Oh, that's when you're commissioned. Okay, 3 years. What has been your greatest joy in the 3 years that you've been leading Fountainwood? And what has been your greatest challenge so far?
I think those two are connected.
Okay.
I think the greatest joy has just been God's provision. Just seeing his hand in everything that has been going on. Seeing people grow, seeing networks forming easily, seeing the depth, seeing a lot of things happening. Again, I think the biggest challenges have been financial. But I think that has been the biggest recurring one, but not significantly, to be honest. The Lord has been supplying. Yeah. So God has been supplying. What has been a greater challenge, I think, initially was interpersonal relations. Right? Just dealing with people, personalities, and sometimes there are clashes. I think 2022 was very difficult in that regard towards the end of the year. At some point, I ran away.
You ran away from Juja?
Nilikimbia, nilienda kujificha Kakamega.
Wait.
My dad...
You're like, give me a break.
My dad was like, now, I don't know what it is you're
running from.
You just go deal with it. Like, kanenda kakane kwa basi until when the bus left. So, yeah, that was a big challenge, a big struggle at the time. Yeah, I think that's how I would put it. That interpersonal relations, relations with the sending church, also there's interpersonal relations. That has been a bit of a challenge, and we've really grown in wisdom on how to handle those things and how to grow in those aspects. So I thank God for that.
Okay. Juja, ulikuwa umeanza ukisema Juja is known as Sin City, and you want to change our thinking into seeing it as there's
Grace Town.
Grace Town.
Yeah.
Grace Town.
Yeah.
Oh, Sin City. It's Grace Town. Okay. Is Juja what is Sin City what we know it as? Even though iko, like how it has been branded to be, is it?
I think so. I think ni very rarely that a negative stereotype is actually close to accurate. I think.
Yeah.
I think Juja was very. Nilikuwa na culture shock. Honestly, there are things I would see. I'm like,
this happens.
This happens. Things like this happen. But I feel, I don't know. In the 3 years I've been there, well, the rest of the guys of our team wananiambia sasa nimezoea. But I'm feeling like there's been change. I feel like it's a little different. It's not as crazy as I saw when I was new. But what they tell me is, no, mezoea too. You're no longer seeing it.
Yeah.
But I think, the negative stereotype is there. There's a lot of issues with drugs and alcohol, rainbow thieves.
I actually expected you to say that's another challenge that you faced while ministering around Juja.
Funny enough, it's never been an issue.
It's never?
Like, we've never had any issues relating to drugs and alcohol.
Not with a congregant in church?
Not with a congregant. I don't know how. The Lord has just made it easy for us in that regard. Yeah. We've never had that issue.
Interesting.
But in the whole area, like right next to our church, kuna kitu, sijui ni pub or something. They know the perfect moment to blare out the worst kind of music.
On Sunday?
Yeah, they do Sundays or weekends.
So you just take a break, Ata. So just take a break and respect the day of the Lord.
Yeah, so there's stuff like that a lot. Weird things happen, like ladies get approached weirdly and weird conversations go on sometimes. But we've learned how to handle, because the truth is it's a fallen world, and you might look at one place and one thing happening and you think this place is really fallen, but the truth is that the whole world is fallen.
It is.
And the way we handle it is with the light of Christ, and we just show them love and care, that we'll try and be light and salt for them. And I think that has been our drive. And then also just pulling hands and collaborating with the people who are there. There was Juja Bible Baptist there, First Baptist Juja, JQuatCU, other stakeholders in the area of how are we collaborating in this vision, supporting one another in ministry. That's the way we can do that.
Beautiful. And how is that? I know you said Fountainwood Church is a collegiate church, meaning a lot of your congregants are college students. Are you? Is that the thing you're going with, or you're open to?
We are actually
even
open.
Older.
And we never sat down and decided we were going to be a collegiate church. The only reason we were calling it is that's how it ended up. And of course, it started within JQuat, so it is expected. But we've been having people in the community show up. We started a Sunday school last year.
Oh,
so we've been having some kids. Yeah, we have kids.
Oh,
we have some of their parents show up once in a while. So we are growing. Some teachers from McKenna School are coming to church as well. So we are growing into the community, but very gradually. Yeah, and it makes sense, when a certain mama in the area akikuja church, they expect to see a grizzled old wise man.
Let me tell you.
Nakuja wanakutana na mimi. So
wanashindwa, huyu ni pastor kweli?
Yeah. Mama yake yako.
Yeah, first of all, mama yako ako wapi?
Yeah. So kuna hiyo challenge, but again, the Lord has just been allowing us a lot of access and acceptance in the community. We're being invited to school events, both for JKUAT and for McKenna, intervening in issues there and stuff. We're being a church to them. We're being a church to them. So yeah, slowly some of these things are teething issues, and people grow into it. I love it when there is a gradual growth that is sustainable and is deep, rather than have explosive growth that becomes burdensome.
True.
So yeah,
True. Slowly and surely.
yeah.
Okay, I think I've gotten all my questions out the fountainwood. Another thing I'd want us to talk about is what you're wearing on your t-shirt. I can see there's a logo. Yeah,
RT.
TR and a crown on top.
Yeah.
I know the meaning. It's Real Talk.
Yeah.
It's a Bible study group, but I want you to talk to us about Real Talk.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So Real Talk also goes back to 2022, but later in the year. I think around April, I had some friends who I knew through a missionary. They were visiting a missionary.
The same missionaries you were friends with when
Yes,
you were at
the same ones. Yeah, they had some of their friends visiting from a ministry that works with the HBCU in the US. HBCU is historically black colleges and universities. So there are ministries. There are universities in the US that majority of black people go to, and so there are ministries that work there. So there's this one gentleman. Shout out Zach. He's since become one of my best friends, and I love him dearly. But that's the first time we met. It was around April of 2022. He came with a team, and walking around Juja, and they sat with us to do our Bible study. And one of the students there was like, "Man, this is exactly the same as what we do. This just looks exactly the same as what we do at our schools. They're in two universities." Alabama State and Tuskegee. And so they asked, "What is the name of this Bible study?" I was like, "Yeah, Bible study."
It's BS.
BS.
It's Bible study.
Cherry Park on Wednesday, Bible study. I said, like, you know what? Real Talk could be a good name.
So this is the name that existed for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had the day. I said, like, Real Talk could be a good name. So we had already been doing stuff. We had already been strategizing with my friends and people, but we just never thought of it in a big way.
Being a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't really a thing. It was just as I think
It's
the word
just
is
Cherry Park.
Yeah.
Bible study.
And so when this lady, her name is Crystal, I said, Real Talk could be a good name. I think it left me thinking. My mind was stayed on that thought of what did she mean by, Real Talk could be a good name. Are we able to partner or anything like that? And of course, I'm usually very cautious with working with Americans sometimes, not to insult anyone, whether Kenyan or American, but sometimes the relationships between Kenyan ministries and American ministries is very unhealthy.
Really?
Yeah, maybe it's just purely financial. Sometimes there's a lot of dishonesty. There's control that is not healthy and stuff like that. So I'm very cautious with that, and I wouldn't want a situation where I feel like I have to compromise in some way. So I was marinating that thought in my head for a few days. I just went and reached out to Zach. They were still around. I was like, "Hey, Zach, what do you think about this? What do you think about us trying to see if we can work together?" Like, Zach gave me a very quick yes. I was very uncomfortable. You're like, I would have. It would have been easier for me if you would have thought about it.
Let me think about it. Yeah.
It was a very quick yes, and so we are at this point where we have this American group, we have this Kenyan group. We are already doing the same things. They have the name Real Talk, and now we are thinking, how are we going to do it together? So at this time, we had not even planned it. The church hadn't started meeting. Remember, they're coming in April.
Yeah.
The church starts meeting in June.
Yeah.
So they come back in December with another team, and like, yeah, there's already a church, and there are already people. They're meeting new people. Like, man, you guys are doing. They were astonished and just seeing how things were going, and they were interested in us. I think he was more excited the second time.
Oh.
But then it was a slow start. 2023, we didn't do much. Those visited, and we were communicating on phone. We were discussing, strategizing. We realized that I was better at just strategy and doing that. So we're like, can we share the responsibility So Zach took up half the responsibility, I took up half. And so that's really how Real Talk started. We expanded in Kenya in 2023. We had JQuat and then KU. Those were the first two groups we had. And I noticed because of how the trajectory Real Talk was taking, we couldn't do it as part of the church. We needed to, because if we are going to be working in different areas, as part of Fountain, if you're going to be working in different areas, I want to honor the local church there. Yeah. So decided to separate Real Talk and Fountain and the leadership and everything. So the two operate independently. And so, some friends who had already been seeing what we were doing and like, are we going to go ahead? Are we going to partner this? Let's make it happen, doing it prayerfully. Then there was an idea. Let's write a book. Let's write a study manual. And so Fex, Fex, and myself and a few other friends, Fiona and others.
Oh, Fifi.
Fifi wrote a book, a study guide. We called it a session manual because we're like, now we are growing so fast. What are the leaders in those groups doing? Are we training leaders? And so November, I think. August of 2023. Yeah, August of 2023 is when I can really say Real Talk exploded. It really started growing and expanding. We did a launch when we were launching the book, and I think this is when people really now embraced the vision. So going into 2024, people are already thinking about it. And around this time, another group had formed in Mwihoko, another one, two in Gumba actually, and we are now having conversation of we need to write another manual. And there are conversations about, now Africa has been a receiving continent for a long time, but we are not a sending continent. But the unfortunate truth is the global south is the only region in the world where the church is growing, and yet it is one of the least sending regions in the world. So having those conversations of, can we come up with mechanisms and strategies to identify, equip, and send people into the mission field? And so this was a 2024 thought, and you're like, how do we start it? And what are we thinking about? How are we thinking around it? How are we developing the vision? And so we thought, we use what we already have. We use those Bible study groups, invite people to them and teach them there, equip them there, and do a trickle-down effect. Timothy 2:2. Right? These things that I've heard in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be qualified to teach others. So we adopted that model of, let me teach these ones well so that they are able to go teach others. Yeah. So reduces the burden on the leaders. We don't have to be, like, for example, I only attend JQuat, Real Talk JQuat once in a while. I'm not really a part of any specific group. I don't necessarily go. But there are leaders there who run everything and everything goes well. So a thought came. Now you've been talking about going out. Let's go out to South Africa.
This is random
from
thought.
Italy. Yeah, a random thought within the group. We're like, wow, you guys are being so ambitious.
That is ambitious, much.
So you're saying we look for passports, we look for fare, we look for things. They're like, yeah, let's go to South Africa.
Let's go.
Of course, I'm skipping over a lot of complexities, but I share with Zach, can we be praying about this? Are we able to think about it? And so around that time, we had a member of Raraka who was our friend, getting a scholarship to South Africa.
Things aligning.
Yeah, things just aligning. So just call her, say like, hey, can you help us with this? We want to come visit you. Can you introduce us to a local church there? Where do you go to fellowship? I think that was the statement. So we went to a place called Grahamstown. Port Elizabeth is the city nearby, Eastern Cape of South Africa. And we met guys there from a church called Every Nation. It was that whole trip was a walk of faith. Let me just put it that way, because the contacts I've given, no one was responding. I was sending emails, no one was responding. I was trying to call, it wasn't going through. And then we're like, we are going to do this. We didn't necessarily have funds, but then almost to the day of going, that's when somebody just gave, and it was enough for the whole trip. We're like, so clearly we are doing this. Clearly we're doing this now. How
the how.
Man, I remember being at JKIA, I'm thinking I'm about to board this plane, and I don't know who is going to receive me.
Zero.
Right? So
Do you have a plan of where you're going to sleep?
no.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm just going.
Nimebook flight.
We'll figure things out once we
the
get
rest
there.
is going to
And
be
so
figured
Zach
out.
was flying in from Alabama. I was flying in from Nairobi. We're going to meet at Johannesburg. So we get there. My flight was delayed from Nairobi, K-Cube.
Of course, kama
Bless you.
kawaida.
So I missed my connecting flight to Port Elizabeth. It was a very interesting
What?
landing. And then me being the horrible Kenyan I am, I did not carry a single coin in cash. All I had was M-Pesa. Now I'm asking people,
Where do
do
I
you receive
exchange?
M-Pesa? Can I receive,
Do you receive
people are like,
M-Pesa?
what? Mobile money? You use your phone for bank?
They
You
don't.
use your phone for bank? I was like,
That is a foreign concept for
it's a
them.
very foreign concept. Now, later on, I realized they do have mobile money features. It's just called by different names.
Yeah.
But anyway, I get there. I was stuck at OR Tambo Airport for a whole day.
An entire day.
An entire day. I think for about 9 hours maybe, because now when Kenya Airways now, what do you call
Your
it?
flight was delayed for 9 hours.
See, the thing is, I missed my connecting flight, and the flight from
Nairobi?
or town. No, from
Oh.
not from Nairobi, from Johannesburg to Port Elizabeth. There was only one other flight that day, na ilikuwa usiku. So like I had to sit there
And wait.
and just wait, because now the good thing is Kenya Airways paid for that one, because
Okay.
they made me miss my
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it was so I was just at the airport. I didn't have service on my phone. Unajua vitu
Kuna
zingine,
line ya
you're just
Safaricom
learning, line ya
kwanza.
Safaricom. I did not have the wisdom. You were like buy
A SIM.
a SIM ya kutumia huko. I didn't have cash on me. I just sat there. Alafu unajua kwa akili yangu naanza kujiambia, na huku sinaambiwanga kuna xenophobia. So just walked around,
Like,
found my
I'm
terminal.
just a foreigner.
Yeah, just so foreign. Fika tu hapo, just sat there looking at my gate. I'm like, this is the gate I'm supposed to use. I'm just going to sit here
And wait for my
I'm just
flight.
going to wait for my flight. I'm not going to look at anyone.
For
Like,
9 hours.
I just sat there, fell asleep a couple of times. Or like, now I don't know, I wish I went out to walk, but then najiambia ukienda huko ukanyage nyanya wenyewe. How are you going to
Unaambia
handle
watu
that?
pole aje.
Yeah.
How?
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 I was like, I'm just going to sit here. So the trip started in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
So Zach was already at Port Elizabeth by this point. So I go meet up with him at Port Elizabeth. We drive. We stayed in Port Elizabeth. We just got a hotel there. And then we drove to Grahamstown. Now, this whole time I've not told Zach that these people have not been responding to my calls. Because I was like, I don't know how he's going to react.
This is enough trouble.
Yeah, it's enough trouble. I've not told him. So I'm like, yeah, I know the church is called Every Nation Church and it's on Church Street.
That's all I know.
So they're going to Grahamstown, look for Every
Church
Nation
Street.
Church on Church Street. And that's what I did. That's what we did. We just went there. We found the church. And that day was so cold and windy. Found the church. It was locked and it looked like there was no one there. So now I'm wondering in my mind, have we flown all this way? Have we come all
For
this time
nothing.
for nothing? Are we just going to go back? So I was like, and I hope Zach is not angry with me. I just hope.
I'm a fly
like-
from Alabama just
like
for,
he's-
for
he's-
closed doors.
It's like, wow, how is this? So like, you know what? We'll just find a place. We'll just sit and just wait.
Wait.
So there was a coffee place somewhere close by called Gino's. We get in there. We got some coffees and just sat there. And then we noticed this white South African. Matty. I think Matty is his name. I was thinking I'd forgotten Matty. And we noticed he's walking around going to tables and he's praying for people and he's saying prophecies and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I want to talk to this guy. Until he's like, I want to talk to this guy. So got to Matty, came to our table and we sat, we chatted, we had an amazing conversation about the gospel and ministry and all these. We had some theological discussions and disagreements, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And now I am thinking in my heart, if we came for just that conversation, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm
I'm
content.
okay.
I can. Where's my next flight?
And now you see what Zach tells me. Like, if we came for just this conversation.
That's
it's
what he
amazing."
said.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'm like, wow, okay.
So you're not mad.
You're actually not mad. So we've been here. We sat with this guy for 5 hours or something in his hotel. Now we are getting out, and they're like, now it's time for us to drive back. And we just randomly see this lady walking out of the church. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Guess what we do?
You
Nimbali,
ran.
it's like a distance. We ran after the lady. I was like, I don't know why she stopped. I would not stop if it were me. Just see these random dudes like running at you. Gigantic
men running towards you.
She went and she opened it. Turns out because it was cold, they had locked the doors, but there were people in there the whole time. We met the administrator. It was awesome. And then she tells us the missions director is the one you're trying to reach out to, but she changed her email. So she had changed her email. That's why I wasn't able to talk to her. But she was away on a what was it? I think she was away at a wedding. Yeah, she was at a wedding. And so she tells me, she tells us, please don't leave. Just wait for us.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So the good thing is our flight was the following day to come back. No, to go to Dar es Salaam. So the other places we were so sure we were meeting people.
Oh, okay.
We were also going through Malawi and others, but it was the following day. We meet this lady, her name is Danielle. And we had an amazing time. She welcomed us to her house. We had a cup of coffee. She shared with us what they were doing, and we noticed it was similar. We just needed to adjust our stuff a little bit. And they were willing to see what we wanted to do and all that, and start a conversation. So that's how we go to South Africa with them, and we are desiring that even grows and that we even do more. Went to Malawi, and wow, that country is empty.
Did the same. Malawi?
Yeah. Like,
Malawi is empty?
We were like, can't find anything. Where are the people? We were so confused. Went to Dar es Salaam, had an amazing time there. Shared the gospel at Dar es Salaam University, met some students there. Met this amazing missionary couple, Richard and Karen, who had been there for many years. And we just loved it there, and we were desiring to do that. Then came back to Kenya, went to Western, met some churches there that were interested. Came back to Nairobi, and so that in a process of like 2 weeks, Real Talk had
expanded
that
around
much.
Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Zach was telling me, like, just hit him one time, like, man, we are now international. But like, then I'm like, we were already international. There's Kenya and the US.
And Alabama.
But like, don't realize.
Maybe 2 isn't international.
Yeah, maybe 2 is not inter. Maybe, I don't know. But so, and now I was thinking, now our team in Kenya, we really need to get our house in order, plan things well. So we did stuff, and we did something called Bible Boot Camp at the end of the year, where we kind of just gathered everyone to do a joint session and training. We did first, second, third this year. We had the team from South Africa come. We had the team from Alabama come, and the Lord just supplied.
Oh, wow.
Just want to thank Mercy Church. They gave us space. They gave us rooms for people to stay. Man, it was awesome. We even gave everyone Bibles. Everyone got a study Bible and a T-shirt. Yeah, the Lord just supplied.
Oh, nice.
The thing is just the Lord just supplied.
That's awesome.
We've been loving Real Talk. And now we're having conversations with people from other countries. They're finding the website. They're seeing things on social media.
And they want to be part of it.
They want to be part of it. Just on 8th, we are launching a new group in Jiru.
Really?
Yeah, there's a church in Jiru who want us to do the Real Talk there, and we are desiring to grow, get more partners, share the vision, having conversations of sending. And so even this year we'll be receiving we'll be doing sort of an exchange, and we'll have a student coming in from the US to serve here in Kenya for about a year. We are looking at sending a student or two to work with the South Africa team to help them with the establishment. Looking to send a few people to Tanzania. There's even a church there that was asking us to send them a pastor who can lead their church there. So we are seeing growth. Our desire with Real Talk is beyond that. Currently, we have the midterm vision we have is the Great North Road. which starts in Cape Town and ends in Cairo. Our desire is to have a Real Talk group at all the universities along the Great North Road.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big vision,
Yeah.
and we'll need partnership. We'll need the Lord's supply. We'll need to do a lot of these things. But guess what? Silver and gold belong to Him.
Yeah.
And what are we to be thus far? The Lord has carried
He
us.
has provided.
So we are desiring that, and also reaching out to more Kenyan churches and just sharing with them what Real Talk is, what the vision is, and how they can partner, and how they can, I'm one person who really loves when there is plurality of wisdom, so that we can have rebuke, have encouragement and correction. So a big part of my vision this year in terms of Real Talk in Kenya is to get more partners, to get more churches involved, just to see what we're doing, to ask questions, to correct, to encourage, to be a part of the testimony. And we are looking at thinking of doing another sort of boot camp in July, but we're not calling it boot camp, we're calling it Media Summit. So I don't know how that will be, around 10th. Wow, I'm just plugging things.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's a platform.
It's a platform.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We don't know yet. We are not yet sure, but we desire to around 10th of July thereabouts for about 3 days. And the desire is to reach out to as many Kenyan churches and colleges and ministries working, ISAV, Focus, Navigators, working in colleges, working amongst young people, sharing with them the vision. And my big desire is we want to see Kenyan churches starting to send missionaries to the global north.
Yeah.
I think it's high time that
Not
the
receiving.
Kenyan church matures.
Yeah.
No, I've had conversations with some missionaries. Like one of my closest friends had been a missionary here in Kenya for about 2 years. I know he kept saying, "No, I have served in Africa for 2 years." Like, no, you have not served in Africa for 2 years. You've served in Nairobi for 2 years. There's a difference.
Nairobi is not the entire of Africa, please.
Like, and Nairobi is one of the most reached places in the world. I think we have too many churches sometimes in Nairobi. Like, you walk through some
When we
streets and
start
like there are 20
counting.
of them. Yeah.
When we start counting.
There's a place in what is this place? Kabete. There's a place where the road goes around in a create island. Na kwa hiyo island, it's not a big area, like 2 acres.
Yeah.
One time I counted 21 churches.
No.
Back to back.
21 churches is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, and all different names, different versions.
Yeah.
Like, Kenya is very rich.
Yeah.
We need to start thinking about now, what are we doing about it? When are we as a church, the church in Kenya, what are we doing internally and also externally? There are places that are unreached in Kenya. We don't need people to come outside to go to Samburu to preach, right? We can go, right? We need to go, right? But then we also need to say, hey, guys, like the Real Talk team, the Alabama team did a mission to Paris last year. One of the guys was just sharing with me that he got to the airport and just felt the lostness. Just at the airport, just you know how bad a place can be, and then you feel it. And then it's like the whole time he's there, it's like, when am I leaving this place?
Yeah.
Right.
When did they even come here?
And then he comes to Kenya, it's like the opposite feeling. Is at JKIA, and of course, us being Kenyan, something has to go wrong, and yet it is joy the whole time, right? It is.
His flight got messed up too, but he was like, okay, at least I got here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, like, comparing those two, like, we need to think about those places. We need to strategize and be intentional about training and sending missionaries. And it's part of the obedience of the Great Commission.
True.
Something I like to say is, when I read the Bible, I have not read anywhere where it says, therefore go and plant churches. It says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations.
True.
So the call is to evangelize and to make disciples. Now the churches grow from out of that. And so I foresee and desire a day when we'll send not just in Africa. It's easier to send in Africa, but also to the ends of the earth. So that's Real Talk in a nutshell.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've gotten most information out of it.
Yeah.
But there's something that you've mentioned over and over again that when the team in Alabama came to Kenya, they realized that your Bible study, how you conduct your Bible study and how they do it is the same. You said that like in different places that you've gone, you found out that you've seen that
there's similarity.
Yes. So what's this similarity that?
Well, it's one of those times when people are just being obedient. There is really little variety that there can be from what Scripture prescribes. But it's more in the sense of the name Real Talk comes from having real conversation.
Yeah.
So even how we've structured our lessons, we do a triple A structure. The lessons are abide, apply, advance, where we take time to just care for one another, and people ask, how have you been fishing? How have you been following? So fishing is how are you sharing the gospel, and following is how are you growing? How are you studying? How are you praying? And then we read the word of the day, and then we take time applying it to our lives. So for example, the lesson that day is about salvation. We do a lesson, maybe it is the woman at the well, or the sinful woman washing Christ's feet. And then during apply, people get to share about their salvation stories and their struggles, and they get to walk with one another, support one another. And then advance is usually tasks of maybe reading a book, a particular book, or there's prescription of scripture to be read and stuff like that. So we noticed that's the structure we were using. We noticed the Alabama structure is the same. Of course, packaged differently.
Yeah.
But it's the same structure. There's time to care for one another, time to read the Bible, and tasks to do. Same to the South Africa team. So just packaged different. South Africa is, they were so intricate. They had separate books. Like there were books about what they're doing to apply. They had like 4 books that people will have to walk through. I was like, that's amazing. But it's the same thing, just packaged differently. And that's kind of it, and having real conversations is really a part of it. Is really core to it. We really want genuine conversations, genuine relationships. We find some little people meeting, you'll be wondering what is wrong with these people. People are crazy, people are free with one another, very social. People have deep conversations and have it without bother. That those things you fear to speak, but in Real Talk sessions people get opportunity to open up. And one of the things we have in our materials is there's a statement people make to honor one another, to listen to one another, but also to keep those things private. So just allowing people to feel free to share. Now we believe by peeling these layers and being intentional about equipping, now people can go and make disciples. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I like what Real Talk is doing. So if I want to join Real Talk, do I have to be a member of a certain church, or do I just follow you on Instagram and then plug myself into any fellowship?
No, we are getting better at outreach and just maintaining networks. No, there isn't a long procedure. We have different teams. We have different departments that handle different things, and we have one group whose job is to manage the groups. Like we have
the WhatsApp groups?
Not WhatsApp groups, but rather the Bible study groups.
Okay.
So what you'll do, maybe you could reach out through Instagram or whatever, however you've had, and you'll be connected with this person. We have
or from a certain area. Like you said, there's Ngumba, another Njiru.
Njiru is starting soon. The one that is nearest to you. Hopefully after Njiru is established, there is one that should be around Mirema, around Kiamumbi area. We had
West, maybe.
a lot Kahawa West area.
I don't know, just throwing it out there.
When you are doing the boot camp, and again, the funny thing about the boot camp we didn't invite people. We didn't send out invites.
But people showed up.
We were planning we want just like 40 people.
50.
We had 60 people show up. And a good number of them are actually coming from this area, Kiamumbi. And so we wanted to finish with Njiru first, because Njiru also, they've been really demanding for it.
Yeah.
And then we do this area. We'll see. Maybe we can even establish multiple. And so, but while that is still happening, what you'll do is you'll be plugged to a group that is nearby. I don't know what is closer, KU or Gumba. It's sort of in the middle.
For me, I think KU.
Yeah. So maybe you'll be plugged into the KU group. And then while there I be identified as a potential leader. There's a particular training for leaders, for new leaders. And then you'll be sent out. We'll have to go walk in the area, find a church that is willing to partner, that is willing to host, and under the shelter of that church, because we want to be an aid to the church. We want to walk alongside the church, not to take over the role of the church. So this is just an outfit where we are calling our partnership Real Talk, but really the church must be involved.
Yeah.
And so you'll be plugged in to a church and a place where you'll be meeting. And my style of leadership is let the lowest level leader decide what they need to do. There's no need for me to tell the people in Juja what to do.
Yeah.
They know what they need and all that.
So Juja, yeah.
Let me entrust the leader, ensure they're equipped well, entrust the structure for support. We do our best to support them to ensure they thrive.
Yeah.
And we focus on that. So that's kind of it. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, feel free. Oh, actually, another way to do it is kwa website. There's a place where there's a, what do you call it? There's a button to join our community.
Oh, the community.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When you do that, just give in your details. Somebody will reach out to you and plug you in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And the book? The guidebook? The study book?
Yeah, we have two. We have one that is
topical. Do I
topical.
purchase it or do I get it once I'm part of?
We were trying to sell. We'll go to a point where we'll just give them. So we had one that was topical. That is volume 1. Volume 2 is walking through the book of Ephesians. So it's essentially a commentary through Ephesians. We've had writers like myself, Fex, Pastor Mavo. You might know Pastor Mavo.
He was a guest here.
Yeah. Oh, he was. I didn't know. Yeah, Mavo is a good friend of mine. So Pastor Mavo helped with the writing. We reach out to different people to help with the developing of materials. And there should be a volume 3 before July. So even July, when we'll do the media summit, we'll also launch another volume. And the goal is to have enough material to walk through an entire semester. But then it is not compulsory. Each group has the freedom to choose what material they want to use, whether they'll use the Real Talk one or different, as long as the structure
is the same.
And so the books, if people need books, they can reach out and we'll see how to get the books to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think Real Talk is an amazing group to be part of.
Yeah.
I hope wase hapa kwa crew, I'm not going to force them, but I hope they'll want to be part of an amazing project. Nimefanyiwa hivi. Make sure you see him at least one.
For sure.
He's in KU, so he can plug himself in KU.
I'm glad.
Nitakuhanda hadi nijue umeingia huko. So thank you, Cyril. This accepts this t-shirt as a token of our appreciation for being here at our podcast. We really appreciate.
Thank you so much.
Sparing some time for us. You're going to wear our logo everywhere.
I will.
Everywhere.
Thank you so much.
You are now an ambassador of BTP.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I hope Real Talk gets to grow even bigger, become more international. I don't know what that means, but grow into more countries. I hope you plug into more countries. Even your church at Fountwood, we pray for even deeper connections. Numbers will come later. But I hope that you guys get to grow, and may God work with you in every single step. May He continue to provide for you as He has proven to have done in the years. So May God be with you guys. Thank you, and thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Also to our guests. I mean, not our guests.
Viewers.
Our viewers. To our viewers, our audience, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Kindly subscribe if you haven't. Share, comment, like, everything. In order to support us. So thank you. Until we meet again on the next episode, I do not know the number. Be safe, stay safe. God loves you. We love you too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.